Someday I Can, a digital story by Cindy Fujimoto. When I was very little, I didn't think I could do much of anything. I wanted to buy my own clothes and wear makeup like my big sisters, but I was too young. I wanted to stay up late and eat pizza with their friends, but I was still too young. I wanted to drive to school and listen to the music on the radio, but I was too young. Then I wanted to stay at home and play with my baby sister, but I was too old. I wanted to sleep with my parents on scary rainy nights, but I was too old. I wanted to throw a tantrum when I didn't get my way, but I was too old. I was frustrated because I couldn't do much of anything. Then my father said, "If you try, someday you can." So over the years, I tried and tried and tried, and always hoped that someday I could. I always liked art, so I painted and painted and painted, and one day I was able to frame a picture for my mother. I always liked to run, so I ran and ran and ran, and one day I ran a 5K. Then I ran a 10K. Now I run marathons. I was always afraid of the water, so I took lessons and I swam and swam and swam, and one day I swam a mile. I'm not afraid of the water anymore. I always wanted to play an instrument, so I got a saxophone and practiced and practiced and practiced. I'm still practicing. I always wanted to be a singer, so I sang and sang and sang. Now I only sing when I'm in the shower. I always wanted to be a teacher, so I went to college and studied and studied and studied. And one day I became a teacher. I still think there are lots of things I can't do, but I can always try and try and try, and maybe someday I can. Giving up was never a narrative that was allowed in our household growing up. We were always encouraged to set goals and work hard to achieve these goals. From the start and to this day, my parents instilled in us that if you work hard enough, you can be or do anything you want. When I look back in my family history, it is clear to me that work ethic started with my grandfather. At the age of 14, he was a stowaway on a ship from Japan. He thought he was going to America to make his fortune. Much to his surprise, he ended up in Mexico. A rich landowner took pity on him and allowed him to work on his farm. When my grandfather had saved enough money, he journeyed to the United States and ended up in a small Japanese farming community in Greeley, Colorado. My father was one of 7 children. Farming was hard work. Only my father and his 2 youngest sisters were able to finish high school. His 3 older brothers quit school and joined the armed forces. Eventually, my father would follow in their footsteps and join the army. My father was stationed in Japan, where he met my mother. They soon married and began their family. One by one, our family grew until there were 5 kids under the age of 7. Our house was always busy. My father worked hard trying to make a living, while my mother held down the home front. It was my father's dream for us to have a chance to go to college, something he always wished he could do. One by one we did, all holding part-time jobs while we were in college. To this day, I set goals for myself. Whether it is learning how to knit a new pattern, or running in the local races, maybe hiking down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back up again, rafting down the Ocoee River, and trying new recipes. So no matter, I am always looking to learn something new. Sometimes that means working really hard. But I know if I try and try, maybe someday I will be able to say, I can.